I met Bernie Sanders before he fucking announced his presidency. And I realized that I had found someone who actually was articulating what we needed to do as a movement. And from that point on, I identified as a democratic socialist.
Let's maul in the Central Committee. Let's cringe in the Central Committee. Let's bog in the Central Committee right now.
So let me say, if I was a Republican and I had a whole bunch of damaging videos and content up as a conservative, then I would take them down. But since I don't have that, and they don't exist, there's no way to attack me for any kind of conservative views because I have never advanced them publicly in my entire life. I actually am a huge believer in rehabilitation and change because I've seen it in my own life. I've seen people who I looked at and judged as conservative turn into some of the biggest volunteers for the Bernie Sanders campaign, for union organizing efforts, for left-wing causes. I've seen people change in front of me. And they were 60 fucking 5 years old. I don't give a shit if you've been a right-winger in the past. But if you're still spouting right-wing shit and profiting from it, and your entire existence is just being a right-wing grifter, the moment you try to pivot, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, we should just accept you uncritically while you still make money from that. That's absurd. I mean, Cenk used to be a Republican. In many similar ways to Cenk, about the same part of my life, I became much more politically engaged and involved. When I became politically aware, when I became an adult who actually cared about politics. Now remember, when I was 20, the internet largely did not exist as you see it today. There was no YouTube when I was 20 years old. When I was 25 years old, there wasn't any YouTube. When I became involved in politics and I learned and I changed and I started doing stuff, like one of the biggest things that helped me change was working. I got a job at a law firm as a research intern, and they were doing they did public injury, they did securities arbitration from the plaintiff side, which is basically helping people who got scammed out of money. And I mean, they had a full service law firm, right? I started to actually experience these situations firsthand. There was one case where a man went to the hospital complaining of chest pain, and his doctor was just like, you're fine. And told him that he didn't do any fucking procedures, didn't check his heart, didn't give him an EKG. It didn't do shit. Just sent him on his way. And he decided to take his family on a vacation. So they hopped into an RV that they had, and they started driving down the highway. And this guy had a massive coronary. The chest pain he was feeling was the heart attack he was having. And he died while at 75 miles an hour on the highway. As you can imagine, that resulted in a massive car accident, and other people were injured. Seeing how that guy's life was affected by the for-profit medical industry, how insurance companies wanted to limit their liability because of the total lack of standard of care for that guy. That was one of the things that really changed me. Another story was I worked on a case. These are all publicly available cases. This is not like private information or anything. Worked on another case where a woman who was an elderly woman lost her retirement savings because she worked with a professional broker dealer that provided her advice. And they lost all her money in very risky gambles, like really extremely risky option trades. And there was a lot of churn, and there was a lot of really risky stocks, and she lost all of her retirement. Her broker that made all those decisions, which is a violation of FINRA rules, which is the regulations on licensed broker dealers in America, he killed himself. And it turned out that her licensed broker dealer who killed himself was also her son. So this company, this broker, failed to follow all the rules regarding supervision of the trades, supervision of her suitability for her investments, and all that type of stuff. And they wanted, and she was out everything. She lost both her son and her entire retirement because they had allowed him to just make these trades because they were pressuring him to make more money from commission. These are the type of shit where I was like, maybe I don't agree with what I used to believe in, you know, when I was raised in a conservative background. When I actually got out of, it all really started with the Iraq War. And so when you finally start to encounter like real shit, then you start to transition your views, you know, and I started to get more and more politically involved. Another thing that really bothered me was something I worked at in law school during securities arbitration, which was I had a client of mine who was part of a class. And this class of people were defrauded by something known as REITs, which is a real estate investment trust. At the height of the real estate bubble, these licensed broker-dealers were told to push REITs on basically low-income seniors because a lot of these major Wall Streeters wanted to unwind from all of their portfolio of real estate. They saw the bubble bursting, and so they pushed these REITs on people. And basically, when you invest in a REIT, you sign a partnership agreement with, and the general partner, you're a silent partner. Basically, you get an income based on the profits of the REIT itself. So how much rent they collect, and they push these REITs on, and you can't sell it. You can't get out of it. It's basically you get shares in this REIT and you're stuck. You have a partnership agreement and you're just stuck. If the REIT goes belly up, you're fucked. You lose everything. If the profits are less than expect, you get a smaller payment back. And they were pushing these REITs all on all sorts of unsophisticated investors. And so when I had these hardcore examples of people getting defrauded and seeing all this hardship, then I was like, then I started getting involved in politics. Then I started to become an activist. And that's why I ended up running for office in 2014, is when the Democratic Party talked to me. I was just fresh out of law school. I talked to the Democratic Party. They say, we want you to run in this seat. We think you're an amazing candidate. And it was newly gerrymandered, so no one knew exactly how all the districts in Pennsylvania were going to shake out, because 2014 was the first year that those legislative districts had been gerrymandered. And so I ran in that seat, and I had an amazing grassroots campaign, except the one problem was gerrymandering works, number one, and number two, 2014 was the worst year to be a Democrat in Pennsylvania legislative history. Not one Democratic challenger won in Pennsylvania in 2014, except for the governor's race, which was Tom Wolf. So that is the history of my political journey, right? That's the history of what made me interested in politics. And once I ran, I became an activist. I had those experiences, and there's more of them. I can share even more of what my political evolution. But that's why I got to where I am. I didn't always agree with what I had. Like when I ran for office, I was more of a progressive lib. I was an Elizabeth Warren type person, because my eyes hadn't been completely open to the possibilities. And when Bernie Sanders ran, when I met Bernie Sanders in January, or was it February of 2015, I met Bernie Sanders in person for the first time before he announced his presidential race. He came to do a speech at an organization called Keystone Progress, which unites progressives and socialist organizations around Pennsylvania. It's a group called Keystone Progress. They had a conference every year. I met Bernie Sanders before he fucking announced his presidency. And I realized that I had found someone who actually was articulating what we needed to do as a movement. And from that point on, I identified as a democratic socialist. Before he fucking announced, I saw him firsthand, and I was like, holy shit. That same organization, Keystone Progress, I ended up meeting Crystal Ball there as well. And I think she's had a very similar political move as me. Same thing with Nina Turner. Nina Turner wasn't always a socialist or a leftist that she is today. She had that political move, and her eyes were opened by Bernie Sanders. There's a lot of people that have had that transition who are older, who've been around the block. That is my background. So all of this is why I care so deeply about Bernie Sanders. What the facts on the ground were before he was there, because I was one of the people trying to push the country to the left. When I ran, I had the support of Equality Pennsylvania, our leading gay rights group, Sierra Club, PA Conservation Voters, the Pennsylvania AFL-CIO, the National Teachers Unions, the building trades, down the, pro-choice voters, you name it. I was down there. Planned Parenthood. I was down in the fucking trenches fighting for all those things. I know what the exact bleeding edge was in fucking 2014. That is the type of stuff that I experienced. So when I saw the Bernie Sanders movement, I went away from the establishment Democratic Party that I was already in. I could have gone and worked for some dipshit, and I went with my heart. I went with what I believed in, which has always been my flaw. I always tell people exactly what I think and exactly what I believe in. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm not against, by the way, I'm not against people changing. But if you're going to attack me for internet clout, that's pretty gross, man. We do politics here every morning starting at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. You can watch us here on Twitch. We're the morning guy, the morning politics guy, Politics Frogs in every single day, same time, 10 a.m., day in, day out. And we carry you through your morning and early afternoon politics needs. And if you need more, Mike from PA, we have a YouTube channel. We talked about suburbs, the My Pillow guy, Ted Cruz. We talked about DSA. Amazing. Making fun of Tim Pool. Amazing. Look at all of these amazing videos. Get in there, watch them. We have me on Twitter. You got to follow me on Twitter, chat. I'm at 20,614 subs. That means I got like 40 followers on Twitter in the last day. You can do better than that. You can do better than that. Go follow us on Twitter. And of course, join the Discord, where we have an incredible community of left-wing streamers. We have left-wing community. We talk about the stream. We talk about politics. There's gaming content. It's a really awesome, supportive place. Direct action, mutual aid, and you can just let off some steam. And also, you can help produce the show. One of the things I do is I look at the links that are put into the news content suggestions chat room on the Discord. Join the Discord, come hang out, and maybe what you want me to talk about will be part of the next show.